Well, hands up. Who got none from 5? Not me, but I know some of you. Joel, how'd you go?
Not quite. Very close. Not quite there.
None from 5. And, I mean, that game this afternoon was so good, we can't wait to get to the highlights. Matty Rogers, I don't know if that counts as maroon. It's very close, and I understand the spirit of what you're saying.
It's a timing thing.
It's Bergen.
I think I've hit it. I've nailed it.
Yeah, okay, very good.
But I was very close. I tipped Canberra. It's the only one I got.
Oh, okay. What a game it was. And we will Origin preview today. Origin preview for the second half of this show. Do we think more of Canberra as premiership threats now than we did before this game? Given, Matty, they won this game with their defence, which they haven't done all year.
They've been the most consistent side of the season, like so far. I know the Bulldogs are on top of the table, but I feel like you just know what you're going to get with Canberra. Ricky's always got his sides well prepared. They'll go out, they'll play good footy. The difference between their good game and their bad game, it's not too dissimilar. You know, when you see there's some big gaps between, like, look at the Sharks on the weekend. You know, what they dished up last week compared to this week.
Yeah.
So that's a big point, I think, for Canberra.
We were talking before, Dan, around which team, not so much can you win every week, but which team do you trust for a big go performance? Probably them, isn't it? Like, they've probably been the most reliable side as far as turning up every week. Would you say that? Or
I wouldn't want to rely on them, but they're right up near the top, certainly more than the Warriors. You're a sceptic. And they're certainly limited in attack. They're going to struggle against... Great. Roger. What about Roger's performance in the first half? Anyway, fantastic game. So the Canberra Raiders now are, second on the ladder? Because Warriors have a -4 and against. So well done to the Canberra Raiders. But we've lamented... it was a tough round, Joel. Wasn't tough for everyone.
Oh, it wasn't tough for everyone. Wasn't tough for you, my man. What about Danganame?
Dolphins line into Herbie any time. You'd figure Herbie's got to score if they're going to cover that line. I do like my best bet, which is the Newcastle Knights. 8.5. I think they can keep it very, very tight with a severely understrength Penrith side. I'm going to put a bit of faith in the Newcastle Knights, head-to-head, into the under. I think the only way the Knights win is a low-scoring game. Wow.
Well done.
The gun, I was worried. Thing I never thought I'd be worried about when Newcastle led 24-0, thinking, hang on, is this going to go over? But no, not the case. It was a very easy second half. Penrith, by the way, I think we're going to get to them at some point, so I'll save that conversation for a little bit later. But nice to have some wins, Joel, but I wasn't the big winner of the weekend.
No, the stable has been very, very healthy. Denon Kemp, I was chatting to him. He said, I think it could be a big week for the outsiders, rather. Upside for the outsiders. He said, okay, I might even throw it on the feed, and he did.
Wow.
Look at this. What has he got? About $73 here. Handful of punters got around that, which is great. If he had thrown the Canberra Raiders in, that would have been 200 to 1. And a lot of people are saying, what if you took all of his picks 13 plus, which all saluted 13 plus, odds of 4,276 to 1. If you don't mind, Dan.
So the 5 favourites back to back to back, if you had them all, about $200.
Outsiders.
What did I say?
The 5 favourites. 5 outsiders.
Well, you had the 5 favourites. You lost your money on Thursday night. I loved round number 12, Matty. I know there are some sceptics out there that don't want to watch pre-Origin football, and normally it is a much lower level. And I've got to be honest, Canterbury Dolphins was a hard watch. It was a hard watch, but I love the round.
Well, it gives a lot of people some opportunity, doesn't it? We get to see some faces that we don't see on a regular basis. But, yeah, I'm probably a bit more on Joel's side of things. We have this conversation every year. It's like, Origin, should it be standalone? You know, we don't want teams suffering. But, look, it is what it is. I don't think it's ever going to change.
We're about to talk Roosters Sharks and his Sharks. What I find surprising, Joel, is that Canberra are $11 premiership betting, Sharks only $8. After what I saw this weekend, Canberra's a much better premiership shot, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. They're legit. Canberra, absolutely legit. Sharkies, I don't know about the Sharks.
Well, on their day, the Sharks will beat anyone.
And they will be suited more to September, spring weather.
Yeah, but their day, it's too inconsistent.
Yeah.
Now we're getting two different sides.
Smart coaching here. So notes that
Roddy,
they've chipped on him twice. But important to some, We'll speak about him in a moment, Dom Young. Savala, what a job he's doing. All the talk now around DCE. Should they be signing him still? Geez, I tell you what.
Yeah, but they stunk Cronulla. Well done to the Roosters. This is a great moment. Xavier Va'a and the Va'a clan going up, and they were at that northern end as well. It was a fabulous night. We don't play enough football in Gosford because it's a great stadium, and even pre-Origin it was a nice crowd, even though it wasn't the highest quality in terms of names on the list. Roosters, $3 to make the 8. $3. I'll tell you what, Matty, they're starting to make a case because Sam Walker's back soon. They're winning games they're not supposed to be winning. They're 5 and 6.
It's a quality football team. This was without two of their best middles too, in Nafahu White, who's been phenomenal this year, and Lindsay Collins, so on Origin duty. So look, they're going to go from strength to strength in the back end of the year. They get their players back. They're going to be a side to look out for.
Joel, the big winner was Denon Kemp, and those on his multi, but he wasn't the only big winner for the weekend.
Benno 2 feed, check this out with the same game multi, and important to some because you'll see here Dom Young, gentlemen. Dom Young is on the bet slip, and Dom Young pinches a try with about 90 seconds or 2 minutes to go, and that was enough for Benno 2. Here it is here. So towards the end of the game, not much really doing. Marky Mark, if you don't mind, in and away. He didn't look like scoring all night, really, Dom Young. And is that the last try we see for him in a Roosters jumper, boys?
Maybe. I mean, I thought it was off the table, the Knights deal, after it sort of fell over a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's back on the table, apparently.
Everything's a negotiation, though. Like Trent Robertson went very public and hammered them. Everything. It's not the Canterbury Tigers situation with Lockie Galvin. I mean, it was $1.10 that Lockie Galvin was going to the Bulldogs the whole way through. Yeah. Was anyone ever convinced when Gus...
Para was a game. They were in the mix, weren't they?
Well, Para were in the mix just because of his history, but I love the fact that he stayed true to his word, Lockie Galvin. He wanted to go somewhere where he was going to get developed.
Yeah.
He's gone to a club that is going from strength to strength. He's got some great coaching around him. Not to say that he couldn't have been developed at Parramatta, but it's a whole different circumstance there than it is at the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are 2 years further down the track than what Parramatta are.
Would you, Joel, consider... how does he start? Round 14, Parramatta, big event game, off bench. Do you give him a couple of weeks to get used to the system? He hasn't signed officially yet, but how are you going to warm him into this? Because they don't need him this year, and he'll make them better. But it's not like they need to get him in to get wins because they're.
Oh yeah, but I kind of disagree with that. I kind of feel like they think. It's very hard to be in these premiership sweet spots, which they are, and there's no guarantee you'll be in it next year. I feel like they've said, we can win it right now. We need to get this done now.
No, I understand that. What I mean was they're winning games without him, so it's not like they have to rush him in if they don't think he's ready. But you think straight away put him perhaps on the bench, or what about in the halves?
I think it would unsettle the team if he just turns up and they throw him straight in the starting side. What do you think, Rad?
Yeah, well, they're obviously a pretty tight-knit group at the Bulldogs. He's a gun, Lockie Galvin, and as much as the Bulldogs are leading the comp, and I'm not going to say they're playing bad football, but they're not playing the sort of football that's going to win them a premiership. Not yet. I mean, you can't give up a 20-point, lead and then expect to come back each week against the top sides, or a 14-point lead. But they've had some great comebacks, but that's not the sign of a good team. The sign of a good team is not letting the opposition into the game.
This one here doesn't bother me. Wet track. No one at the ground.
They were ready for a loss like this.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
I think the one that bothered me, Joel, for these guys was the Broncos game. Where they blew them away straight through the middle of the field.
Yep.
And that's probably the one that they look back on and think, gee, this is something we've got to sort out.
Can I ask you both quickly, if Galvin is to get this done, which we assume he will, they're in the finals in September, what number is on his back?
6.
6. And who's the 7 then?
Toby Sexton.
And Burton?
Fullback or centre.
Wow.
Or Crichton back to fullback.
Wow.
Crichton back to fullback.
Wow. You're just upturning the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think you can afford to. Well, Galvin's not an out-and-out 7, nor is Burton. Leave Sexton there. He's steering the ship, and I think he's doing a great job. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, but I don't think Canterbury think he's doing a great job. There was a piece in yesterday's Saturday Telegraph written by David Riccio, a very good piece, but I think it came from insiders at Canterbury that detailed a couple of times that Toby let them down. I think the way that was detailed, the first half against Canberra, there was another performance in there. that's softening the ground. I think Sexton might be, whether it's right or wrong, I think he might be the guy in the firing line. I said the Roosters were $3 to make the 8. Penrith are $2.63 after their performance. It's got to be the first time in 5 years they've been odds against to make the top 8, Joel. Those odds would have ballooned out after this pretty ordinary loss. Now, they're playing with the New South Wales Cup team. I mean, I can't believe they were as short as they were.
Are they last at the moment?
I still like them to make the 8.
Panthers are last. Can you believe that? They are last, and we're halfway through the comp just about.
Yeah.
They are last,
How far
and they
out?
are 263 to make the 8.
But how far off 8th position are they in points, Joel?
Yeah, no, that's the
You're
issue.
going to fire him up. You can tell he's got to take the bye points into account.
Well, okay, let's just talk about wins. So Broncos have got 5 wins. Panthers have got 3.5 wins. So 1.5 wins away.
Yeah.
Okay, Roosters or Panthers, if you can only have one. I think I'd have the Roosters to make the 8. If I could only have one.
I mean, given right now, you would, but I'm taking the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm with the Roosters, and I suppose this probably counts what I say, but they've also got this big origin period to go through, so it's not just this week affected.
You're right.
At least, though, they've got 2 buys coming up before the next Origins.
Yeah.
It's going to be the weeks they back up. That's going to determine whether they have a chance coming out the other side.
Well, this week they back up Cleary versus Moses, so they play together on Wednesday night, then they go head-to-head next week.
Good game too, given Parramatta's in a nice bit of form. Manly, we said this last week, you can't trust them. You cannot trust them. Tom still doesn't look right. Well done to the Eels again. Joash Papali brought something, and Sam Rani and these youngsters. But you would swear Manly, Matty, were going to win this game comfortably, particularly after Hopewadi scored.
Yeah, they got away early. Look, I mean, we talked about it during the week, didn't we? No Lomax, no Moses. Doesn't bode well for a good Parramatta performance, but they just dug deep. Sometimes, you get some star players out, you can just sort of lift a little bit. I think some of those players, they cast a big shadow at times, and some players just stay in their shell a little bit. Maybe they've just found out what they need to do to win games of footy, and the Yongi.
What about that chase from Nathan Brown? Did you see that in back play? What a chase.
Good week if you're on the Titans for least wins, because they're now $2.60. Newcastle and Parramatta $5 and $6 respectively. Time to do this.
Now, that little sketchboard there is actually the play of a block play, so popular. Now, teams have been struggling to score points, and that has been Parramatta and the Newcastle Knights. In my opinion, they've been going out the back all the time, out the back. But you've got to set them up first by hitting the lead runner. With no Kalen Ponga there in the side, they started to play the front runner, did the Newcastle Knights, and then it starts to keep on. Watch how high these centres, this is Parramatta, watch how high the centres get. That's why the lead runner, this is Jack Williams, who's playing great football. Here's an easy shot one-on-one with Luke Brooks. The centres get real high again. So you're getting one-on-one, a back rower, with a half typically. Look at this. Centres get high. I reckon you've got to roll that out. So Newcastle might have been doing sort of 1 every 5 hitting the lead runner. You've got to go the other way. I think hit the lead runner. Then the centre starts to think, well, they need help inside. So that's what these teams have got to do more of. Well done to Coach O'Brien and Riles. They've adjusted for that, and you're starting to see points now.
Dylan Lucas, can't he play football?
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
And it's just another reason why it's centres and second rowers are the best value for money when it comes to any time try scorer. And we'll explain why that's the case in Origin with our preview right after this. We've got it all covered. Wally Lewis medal, man of the match game 1, head-to-head, anytime, first try scorer. That is next. Get him onside. Welcome back. Get him onside. We've got Walter White, Brian Cranston over there, and Joel Curtis. A good, strong. It's gone beyond Ned Flanders. Programming note: Thursday. Now, this is for the podcast people. We're on Fox League as normal after the Thursday night game after Matty Johns, but we're recording on Thursday after. We're going to wait for Origin. So all the podcast people will be a day later than normal, so that'll explain that. And then we're on after the Sunday night game next week. And The father, the new dad, Sean Ormerod, is here. But let's look at Origin. Stats galore. Where do we start? 14 series in a row. 2-1. Not one whitewash in 14 years, and 10 of those 14 went to a decider. Game 1, Queenslander won 5 of the last 6. That's anywhere, including the last 3. I found this interesting. The last 5 Origins, no matter the venue, double digits. All double digits. We haven't had a close one in a while. New South Wales favourite. That's not breaking news. They're always favourite. Last time Matty Rogers, they won back-to-back series, was in 2018, 2019. Should they be feeling confident? First game in Brisbane. I think we agree to this. Can I get this out of you? If Queensland don't win the first one, they're probably not going to win this series.
You're not going to get that out of me, Dan. No. I mean, I've seen Queensland come back after losing game 1 and win the series. Just lull New South Wales into that false sense of security. What I'm loving is just this air of invincibility that New South Wales are showing, and the confidence, and everyone seems so happy with their team, and things are just going to fall into place. Well, I think there's a few guys in maroon shirts that might have something to say about that on Wednesday night.
That's a worry, isn't it? Because it's probably the quietest I reckon we've been. We normally eat our own, don't we, when it comes to team selection? People are blowing up, and everyone's pretty happy with the side, aren't they, Dan?
I think so. The only conjecture was Max King, but once you read all the stories about him, when the Melbourne Storm come out and say he was the one that got away, it's a fair indicator of what they think of him. But, Matt, it's going to be a Queenslander. Geez, you'd think I'm 47 years old. You think I'd be able to put an elbow on the desk by now and actually land it? Who are you excited for in this game?
I'm excited for Big Tino. It was a big loss last year for Queensland, not having him in the series. We saw in game 3, it was just that we just lost the yardage game, and it was just death by 1,000 cuts. The long kicking game of Moses was too good. We couldn't get out of our own end. We were kicking from our 30. And more often than not, New South Wales found themselves in attacking position. So I think having a bit more go forward in the middle with Big Tino, and also to have Cam Munster back this year, 2 very key parts of the Queensland side that I think can go a long way for Queensland winning the series.
I can just see the betting. So they're $2.25 or bigger, aren't they? Queensland are closer to $2.50.
About that. Well, yeah, probably closer to the first one.
Yeah, okay. So,
but that'll change.
I'll get you the price in a moment, but that'll shift big time.
There you go, 223.
223. I get the sense you start seeing Tino and Harry Grant and Ponga and Munster, and I reckon that's going to trim up as New South Wales get nervous. But we need this bloke fully fit. Payne Haas. I'll take your Tino and I'll have a Payne Haas. Whoever wins that battle could well and truly take it out. This guy here, oh, geez, he can play, can't he? Don't we need him?
So this is Melbourne, where this is part of the 34-0 shellacking, and they just ran over Queensland. Much smaller forward pack last year, Queensland. But remember, it's not a great prep for Payne. He's had that injury, so he's hardly trained at all.
Yeah, not great, but look, he's a proven performer on this stage. What I love about Payne Haas is his size and his strength, but his lateral movement. It's like he's an outside back, the way he moves laterally, and you don't get a good shot on him, you're not stopping. It's as simple as that. All
right, let's get to the good stuff, which is where we start to look to make money. First try scorer. I'm going to read you the last 3 series who has scored first. There are the odds. So you got winger and winger, top seeds, but last 9 games, centre, second row, hooker, second row, centre, second row, centre. Do you hear what I'm saying? Centre or second row are your most likely going by the last 3 years.
So the last winger to score first. Is that right, Dan?
Josh Adokar, Game 2, 2012. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And centre has been first try scorer 4 of the last 12. Goes back to what you were talking about in the first break. How do you expect this game to start?
Oh, it'll start in the middle. They're going to be trying to soften each other up. I'm not sure if we'll see too much expansive play early, but you look at the likes of, in the middle of the field, you've got Harry Grant there, and I think Harry Grant, if he's not the best player in the league, or he can have the most impact on a game, he's up there in the top 3 or 4 players that can really impact a game. And if he's got that go forward behind the likes of Mo Fodawaker and Tino, I expect him to do some damage. I really like Harry Grant for a big game.
Ooh, okay. Give me your first try scorer.
First try scorer. left centre. I'll show you left centre stats soon. Latrell Mitchell.
Okay, very good. Well, he's done it on this stage before, hasn't he? Now, we've also got anytime try scorer. Is there first try scorer? I tend to find I'm looking for wingers and centres. I tend to look for odds in my favour, and I can't believe the hammer is $2.45. This bloke has a phenomenal record, 9 tries in 7 origins, and he's in the centres. I can't believe those odds. Is there anything that strikes you there?
Well, he's in the left centre too, I think.
Yeah.
So, as you say. Look, I like Val Holmes. Val Holmes seems to be able to find the line more often than not when he's playing Origin as well, and he's paying $2.45, so it might be worth boxing those two up.
Yeah, Dan, speaking about left centres, have a look at this, boys. So this is the last 2 series alone. I love picking left centres in big games. Most of us grow up right to left. So this is the amount of tries between the 2 left centres in these matches.
Wow.
So Hammer's been there for all these games. Bradman Best was there for the New South Wales, couple of the games there, and Latrell, of course. So the last 6 games, 3 times they combined for 3 tries. 5 out of the 6 has been at least 2 tries, and every time it's been at least 1 try. So I'd be sort of humming around there. You can also go the player combo market. So maybe you go the Hammer and Latrell to combine for 2 tries, to combine for 3 tries, something like that, I think.
Are we expecting, Matty, high-scoring or low-scoring game? I mean, these are the best conditions. It's Origin in Brisbane. Game ones are usually low scorers, but it is Brisbane.
I just look at the teams. There's so many points across the board in both teams. You look at guys like the Hammer and Kalen Ponga and Latrell and Crichton. I mean, there are points across the park in both sides. Defence is obviously is what's going to win you the game, because if you can stop the opposition from scoring, and keep them to a low number, I think you're a big chance of winning.
You've got bingo.
Yes, can you see 3 try scorers here? Matty Rogers and Dan Gaddane. Look at this, the bingo. Any 4 of these, you can go any 3 for $6, but any 4 of these players to score. So we've got both those left centres.
Okay.
$21, boys.
Yeah, well, that's fat. You've got to think Mitchell and Hammer are going to be there and thereabouts. Probably our favourite market is man of the match, player of the match, and Cleary is $6. I mean, this is Tiger Woods stuff in his prime to win a major. $6. Moses second favourite at $9.50. That's interesting. Munster and Grant the favourites among the Queenslanders.
You can go same game multi, boys, with the player of the match. Seeing Koenig get it in the women's game, there was a big payout of like $80 or so where Koenig to get player of the match, Koenig to score in unders. I reckon if you chase that formula, for example, Kalen Ponga to score in an unders match and to get player of the match, you're talking like 60, 70 to 1.
Yeah, right.
Harry Grant.
I like Harry Grant.
I knew you were going to say that.
If Queensland win, I think Harry Grant gets man of the match.
First try scorer in the grand final.
Wally Lewis medal tends to be a forward award, whereas man of the match tends to be a backs record. But Angus Crichton, the winner last year, and I'll check the Wally stats, but I tend to think Munster might be... I cannot believe Cherry Evans is shorter than Munster. Joel, I would have thought Munster is going to have more... If Queensland are to win the series, he's going to have more moments.
Yep, I think there's only 3 players who can win it for Queensland. Tino's one of them.
Yep.
Munster, Harry Grant.
Yep.
You know why Harry Grant's a good prospect first game?
Why is that?
He hasn't been playing a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if Blues just send him so many... He'll make 50 or 60 tackles. People look at the stat sheet. If they've won the game, he probably picks himself.
All right, State of Origin, top series try scorer. This is a relatively new market that's been put up. Give me one, Matty Rogers.
Yeah, look, I'm going to stick with the Hammer here.
Me too.
He's just an absolute freaking athlete. Jeez, he's got great balance. He just glides across the field. Hopefully he glides across the try line many times in this series for Queensland.
Don't forget Game 2 in Perth. Hopefully it doesn't rain like it always does. Best bets time. Ooh, I've just seen on the sheet in front of me. We're going to have to multi these up. You go, Matty.
Well, I've got Val Holmes, anytime try scorer. He just, like I said, he can find the line in Origin.
What have you got, Jolie?
Yeah, I've got Latrell Mitchell here. Latrell Mitchell, anytime try scorer, and I think you're staying on the left centre train, are you, Dan?
I love the Hammer. Just give me the Hammer all day long. I just cannot believe you've got him at $2.40, $2.45. We're going to put that together and make a nice multi. I'll put that on my feed. Give me a final score, please.
Let's go 22-14 to Queensland.
Okay, 22-14. Harry Grant, man in the match?
Yes.
Very good. What about you, Joel?
19-18, no idea who wins.
Oh, come on, Joel.
Righto, Mitchell Moses with the field goal. Blues win the game.
That is the call. That's what a caller does. Give me Queensland. Queensland. I'm actually quite not confident, but give me Queensland 20-18. Cameron Munster to hammer first try scorer Cam Munster. That's one of my favourite things. You put the first try scorer in with the man of the match because that can really,
that's delicious.
Some of those can really blow up. Now, Sean is back this week. Also, check out the app. There's a special involving this game. You'll see if it is there, and we want to be part of that. But do everything responsibly, and we'll see you on Thursday for another Get 'em Onside. Enjoy Origin.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.